Hi YouTube, ACDodd here again, and welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning with me, ACDodd. So, we've got 3 cars for you, a couple of lovely 1275 GTs and a nice road racer. So, let's get on with it. So here we are in Christchurch, Dorset, and we're back to look at another 1275 GT. This is beautiful, this one. Lovely car, all original, nicely rebuilt. Nice, I believe, is standard 1275 under the bonnet. So let's dig in and see what we can find. Okay, so we started to look at this one. This one looks really good. So we've got a high power coil, we've got a power spark, high power dizzy. The advanced curve doesn't look too bad, maybe a touch slow, but in terms of what I'm seeing for making the engine run, it should be perfectly good enough. The plugs are out because they're extremely rich. So we were running very rich idle. So that's our main problem. So what we now need to do is to lean that up. I'll put a new set of plugs in and then we'll start tuning. So looking at the fueling, we've got a brand new carburetor, which is lovely to see. We've got all new parts in that carburetor, so I think this is a brand new one from Berlin, which is lovely. The needle itself has come out in good condition. This is not actually the needle that come out of it. This is an AAE, which I've just tried because the ABP that was in it was way too lean. So this AAE is too lean, so I'm going to go up to an AAF, and then we'll go from there. So the needle I started with was an ABP, which was too lean. I changed to an AAE, which was too lean, and now we ended up with an AAF, which was still too lean, but it was lean after 3,500 upwards. So I've modified the needle, a little bit more fuel at the top end as well, not much. Hopefully this will be hot to trot. So we got to the end of this one. All I had to do to it in the end, it had the right coil on, 0.8 ohm coil, high power distributor, advanced curve's not too bad, leads are all good. The plugs, as we already saw, were black, so I put a new set of those in, gapped them at 35 thou, and the biggest problem with this was the needle in the carburetor. So she certainly sounds a lot healthier. The other issue we had is it was too lean on acceleration, so I had to thicken up the oil in the dashpot, but this is all ready now for the owner to test it. Okay, on to the next car. Now, this one may look familiar because this is the car that I did on the December Christmas special 2023. So it's only 5 months ago, but I know the owner hasn't used the car much, so but he's complaining that it keeps cutting out and it's not necessarily starting properly, so, or starting easy. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start with a cold engine and I'm going to work my way through and see what the problems are. I suspect, as I've already smelt in the tank, the fuel's off. So with that in mind, let's dig in and see what we get. Okay, one of the first things I found is it's got these suppressed caps on the leads, and we can see we've got 14k per lead, so that is most definitely not helping. So we're going to change these out for a normal set of leads, and hopefully that will link to our starting problem. So hopefully that will solve it. So I've just taken the coil lead off and checked that, and that's 6.2k. So basically I've got effectively 20k between the coil and the spark plug. So yeah, we need to fix that. So I'll put a set of leads on that now and bring it down to 4. That should make a big difference to the starting ability of the engine. So, new set of power spark leads. Just check the coil again. We've got 0.8 ohm coil, high power distributor. So it's pretty much the same as the other 1275 GT, but we've got a nice new set of power spark leads on there, and I've put a new set of BP6E spark plugs gapped at 35 thou. So hopefully that should at least start now, and then we can have a look at the tune. Okay, so I finished going through this one. because I've already tuned it, the needle and everything else was spot on. However, because I tuned it in the winter, this time round the oil was a bit thin in the dashpot. So I tried to thicken it up, and I'd already used the 2050 oil. So what I had to do in the end was to change the damper for one out of an LZX 2085 out of a HIF carburetor. So I swapped the top over and just used the damper in this one, and that stiffened up the rise. So that gave me the appropriate mixture enrichment on acceleration, which is worked quite well. So in terms of solving our problem, the engine starts on the button. We've got a new set of leads in there with much less resistance, and I put a fresh set of plugs in. But in terms of how that's fueling, there's not much else I can do. So that's ready for the owner. Well, here we are down in sunny Southampton, and we've got this beautiful road racer. So, lovely car. What we got under the bonnet? We have ourselves a green and white built 1330 road engine. I think this is 276 cam. It's got 1.5 rockers, single HIF 44. So let's go and speak to the owner and see why he's called us down to look at this beast. Okay, so this is Mark. Right, Mark?
Good morning.
You're the owner of this fine example of a Mini. So why have you called us down this morning?
I called you down because I'm new to the Minis. I haven't got much clue about them. I just want peace of mind to make sure it's all running correctly and not lean and that. So yeah.
I'll take it you found out about us from YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. Watch all your videos, and I think you're the man to oversee make sure everything's correct. And
excellent. So have you got any particular running issues?
It's a bit sort of spluttery until you put your foot down and she takes off then. But yeah, I'll just see if you can iron that out a little bit. And
okay, it is worth mentioning just for the viewers that what he's describing is I think at this moment, because I've not looked into it yet, the car is running a 276 cam and 1.5 rockers. So generally that makes the engines quite soft below 2,500 revs. So let's dig in and see what we can find. Got the plugs out of this engine. They don't look too bad. Obviously just had a cold start, so it has got a light coating of soot on there, but as you can see the electrodes actually look like quite a nice colour. So I'm quite hopeful this engine's not been ball washed and is in good condition. So we'll put a new set of plugs in it and continue with the tune. So ignition wise, it's got a 3 ohm coil. I'm going to leave that on because it seems to be running well today. It's got a electronic ignition kit on there. I don't know whose make it is, but it's working okay. Had a vacuum unit, wasn't connected. I've reconnected that to help with the low speed part throttle drivability, because the owner was finding it a little bit sluggish low down in the rev range. It's worth saying actually that the owner on this one drives the car at sort of 2 to 2.5, maybe 3,000 revs. So with that camshaft and rockers, it's not ever going to run properly at that speed because it's just not able to. So my job is to try and tame that cam and rocker combination as best I can by making sure there's enough timing at part throttle and making sure the fueling's correct. So in terms of the rest of the ignition system, the HT leads are all good. Spark plug wise, I'll put in a new set of BP7ESs, and we'll just see how that runs gapped at 25 thou, because the original plugs, as ever on most Minis I'll come to, weren't gapped at the correct setting. So let's turn our attention to the carburetor. Okay, so one of the first things I found was the oil in the dashpot was very thin, so the piston was coming up very, very fast. There was also not quite enough in it, so it was actually letting the piston rise too far before the damper started to make an effect. One of the other things we've got to do is we've got to modify that so we can change it into a fast drop damper. So I've thickened the oil up and now the piston's not dropping fast enough, so we'll get that modified, move on to the next issue. This engine's already been rolling roadie before, and it's come with a BDR needle. Now I've started to modify that because as it seems typical with a lot of rolling roads that get carried out on minis, the part throttle driving is not good, so it's very, very lean. So this is my 5th go currently on modifying the needle, because it was just a massive amount lean. So I'm still trying to cut my way into give us the right fueling. But the good news is we're nearly there. So hopefully one more touch and we should be somewhere near right. So we're over on the needle lathe. Now this one's taken quite a lot of adjustment to try and get this one somewhere near right at part throttle, but we're nearly there. So I'm just lean at about 4,000 revs at the moment. So I'm just going to take a little bit of fuel, a little bit off the needle there to increase the fueling, and we should be good to go. A lot of people ask me questions about their own cars and where to take stuff off the needle. Unfortunately, that's my proprietary information. So if you want to know things like that, I do offer training courses which covers all that. But unfortunately, you do need to pay for that information. So apologies but that's how I make my money. So moving on, let's get this needle modified and get it back in the car. Okay, so we got this one dialed in. Sounds very sharp now. So basically what we've done, we introduced vacuum, got the needle dialed in because it was extremely lean. I also added a little bit of fuel into the top end as well, just to make sure. But we'll now let Mark go out in it and see what he thinks. Right, so now Mark's been out in his car after we've done the work. So what do you think, Mark?
Love it. Yeah, it's my wife will enjoy driving it.
What's the difference?
Just I can go in 4th gear around the country lanes instead of in 2nd or 3rd, you know. So yeah, there's a saying, go straight to the keeper and not the monkeys.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, we've got the drivability back, part throttle drivability. I think you also mentioned off camera that 30 mile an hour in top gear was now doable.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. And obviously this engine's got quite a big cam and rocker combination for road car, but you can see some people don't necessarily set them up to get the best out of it. And the only thing I did with yours was change the spark plugs really, and the rest of it was just tuning. So although the people that have been working on this car had made a reasonable job, as I mentioned, there was nothing I could say about this bad other than the fact they just didn't dial in the part throttle fueling. Cool.
Yeah.
Would you recommend this to anyone else?
Definitely. Worth your weight in gold.
All right. Well, thanks very much for calling me down, and hopefully you can enjoy your car now.
Will do.
Well, hopefully you like this episode. Just goes to show, actually, sometimes if you don't use your cars, you can also cause a problem. And, in this case, letting them run on choke when they're being stored is not a good plan. So actually you're better off just to stabilise the fuel and not run them at all, and just keep the battery on trickle charge. Anyway, there's another tip from me. So as ever, please like and subscribe and share, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.